Hitler's bloodline survived after World War II, but not in the way the Soviets led the world to believe. Hitler didn't hide away in Argentina. However, he did leave a lot of relatives and direct descendants who were arrested, interrogated, and even wiped completely from the history books. We'll trace how the war changed the lives of his closest family members, what happened to his nephew, who fought for the United States, and why did 3 descendants vow never to have children. Let's discuss it in today's episode of Light's History, in 10 minutes. On April 30th, 1945, as Soviet troops closed in on Berlin, Adolf Hitler spent his final hours in the Führer bunker beneath the crumbling Reich Chancellery. That morning, he said goodbye to his staff, had a final meal with his wife of one day, Eva Braun, and dictated a brief political testament. By mid-afternoon, Hitler and Braun retreated to his private study. Around 3:30 p.m., a gunshot rang out. Hitler had shot himself in the right temple while Braun had taken cyanide. Their bodies were discovered by aides like Heinz Linge and Otto Günsche, who quickly doused the corpses in petrol and set them ablaze, following Hitler's direct orders to avoid public display or capture. By May 2nd, Soviet forces entered the bunker, but all they found were Hitler's charred remains. After weeks of forensic analysis and dental confirmation by Hitler's dentist's assistant, the Soviets confirmed it was indeed Hitler. Still, Stalin kept the truth hidden, fueling decades of conspiracy theories. Hitler's suicide was driven by a refusal to be paraded like Mussolini and a delusional belief that Germany had failed him, not the other way around. The regime ended. The world was free of the Hitler bloodline forever. Or was it? Were Stalin's conspiracy theories actually correct? And what really happened down there in the bunker? Before we move on to the next section, please don't forget to subscribe if you liked the video so far. Paula Hitler was Adolf Hitler's only full sibling, and they shared both parents, Alois and Clara Hitler. She was 7 years younger than Adolf and remained largely out of the public eye for most of her life, especially during the Nazi regime. After Hitler's death in April 1945, Paula's life was quietly tragic and solitary. She had never been politically active, never married, and worked various low-profile jobs, including as a secretary at a military hospital. When the Allies captured Germany, Paula was arrested by American forces in May 1945 and interrogated in Salzburg. She acknowledged her relationship to Adolf, but claimed to have had no involvement in Nazi politics. After her release, she lived under the alias Paula Wolf, taking on Hitler's favorite pseudonym, Herr Wolf, possibly as a quiet sign of loyalty. She spent the rest of her life in relative obscurity in a modest 2-room apartment in Berchtesgaden, near the ruins of Hitler's former mountain retreat. Despite her brother's catastrophic legacy, Paula remained loyal to his memory, telling interviewers in her later years that she couldn't believe Adolf was guilty of all the things he was accused of. She died on June 1, 1960, at the age of 64, from natural causes. She was the last surviving immediate family member of Adolf Hitler, and with her death, one of the final direct links to the Nazi dictator quietly vanished. But what about the indirect links? Unlike Paula, Angela Hitler was Adolf Hitler's half-sister, born in 1883 to Alois Hitler and his second wife, Franziska Matzelsberger. That made her Adolf's elder by 6 years. Unlike his full sister Paula, Angela played a more visible, though still somewhat behind-the-scenes role in his life, especially during his rise to power. She managed his household at Obersalzberg, his mountain retreat, and was close enough to be considered part of Hitler's inner domestic circle during the 1920s and early 1930s. Angela had 3 children, including Gaily Raubal, Hitler's beloved niece. Angela reportedly became uneasy with Hitler's treatment of Gaily and began distancing herself. Gaily died by suicide in 1931, the reason for which was never uncovered. By the late 1930s, she married a man named Professor Martin Hamitsch, an architect, and adopted the name Angela Hamitsch. After Hitler's death in 1945, Angela, then in her early 60s, largely faded from public view. She avoided arrest and interrogation, probably because she fell out with her brother long before the war ended and wasn't politically active. She lived quietly in Dresden, East Germany, during her final years. Angela Hitler died on October 30th, 1949, at the age of 66. Unlike Paula, Angela never publicly defended Hitler after his fall, and it's believed her disillusionment with him ran deep after Gailey's death. Angela is not alive today. Her death in 1949 marked the end of one of the more complex and quietly tragic branches of the Hitler family tree. William Stewart Houston, born William Patrick Hitler in Liverpool, England in 1911, was Adolf Hitler's half-nephew. His father, Alois Hitler Jr., was Adolf's half-brother. William had a strange and strained relationship with his infamous uncle. In the 1930s, he actually tried to benefit from the family connection, even moving to Germany for a while in hopes of landing a cushy job under Hitler's regime. But things soured quickly. Adolf reportedly called him "my loathsome nephew," and William eventually fled back to Britain and then to the United States, where things took a fascinating turn. They denied him entry into the US Navy, so William wrote directly to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, offering to serve. Amazingly, Roosevelt approved, and William joined the US Navy in 1944, serving honorably as a hospital corpsman during World War II. After the war, and after Hitler's death in 1945, he changed his last name to Stewart Houston, married a German-American woman named Phyllis Jean-Jacques, and settled in Patchogue, Long Island, New York. He tried to live a quiet, anonymous life, running a small business analyzing blood samples. He had 4 sons, but reportedly raised them with an unspoken pact. None of them would marry or have children, effectively ending Hitler's bloodline. William Stewart Houston died in 1987 at the age of 76. He never publicly embraced or defended Adolf Hitler, and he spent much of his life trying to erase the association altogether. William Stewart Houston's 4 sons, Alexander, Louis, Howard, and Brian, carried a heavy legacy. As the children of Hitler's half-nephew, they were Adolf Hitler's closest known living blood relatives. Their father, born William Patrick Hitler, had tried to outrun the family name by changing it to Stewart Houston and raising his boys in relative obscurity in Long Island, New York, far from Germany, far from politics, and most definitely far from the shadow of the Third Reich. Growing up, the Stewart Houston boys lived quiet, unremarkable lives. They kept to themselves and never spoke publicly about their infamous ancestry. According to interviews and reports, the brothers shared an unspoken but powerful pact, believed to have been instilled by their father, that none of them would marry or have children, effectively ending the Hitler bloodline. Though it was never formally written or declared, this decision seemed to carry the weight of moral obligation, a silent effort to atone for history by preventing it from repeating through their genes. Howard died in a car crash in 1989. His brother Brian died the same year as well. That left Alexander and Louis, who are reportedly still alive but have always avoided publicity. Alexander, the eldest, has occasionally been approached by journalists and authors, but he's known to be polite, firm, and uninterested in revisiting the past. Alexander and Louis Stewart Houston, the 2 surviving sons of William Patrick Hitler, Adolf Hitler's half-nephew, have led remarkably private lives in the United States. Born in 1949 and 1951, respectively, they are currently in Long Island, New York, maintaining a low profile and avoiding public attention. Alexander, the eldest, pursued a career as a social worker, while Louis co-runs a landscaping business with their youngest brother, Brian. Despite public speculation about a deliberate pact among the brothers to end the Hitler bloodline by remaining childless, Alexander has denied any formal agreement. He stated that while discussions about their family's legacy occurred, there was no explicit decision to avoid having children. The brothers have consistently declined media interviews, choosing instead to live quietly and distance themselves from their notorious ancestry. Their commitment to privacy reflects a desire to lead normal lives, free from the shadow of their family's past. If you were a descendant of Adolf Hitler, would you feel obligated to end your bloodline, or do children deserve a chance to rewrite history, no matter their lineage? Let us know in the comments below. Here's another video history buffs enjoyed watching. Bye for now.